Hi, everybody. Oh, I didn't realize till I just looked at myself. I look like a hamburger, with ketchup and mustard or something. These colors don't really go together. My daughter will have a fit when she sees me. Here, I was just worried about my hat matching. Oh well. You can see it's a beautiful blue sky behind me, and the weather's getting a little cooler. Sweatshirts. Here we are in the latter half of September. Boy, that's hard to believe, isn't it? And I'm looking around at my yard, my garden, which you were a part of my constructing. Just for the record, the raised bed behind me, the vegetable garden never took off. Don't go with those fabric holding fabric garden things where you put the dirt in the fabric. Terrible idea. Terrible. Just in case you wanted to know. And thus ends the farm report for the day. But it's interesting to see the flowers that are still with us and the ones that have moved on into the great beyond. And some of the baskets are still blooming. I hope to take a few things inside. We'll see if they can winter over at all. But I'm sitting here and I was thinking, oh, I really would like to be able to have something profound to say, and there isn't. I mean, it's all nature is profound, isn't it? And then it made me think of Ecclesiastes 3, and so I'm going to read that in a moment, of all things, the King James Version. It just really speaks to me. But it speaks to me not only in terms of what's going on in the garden and the things that have lived their lives and are now returning to a dormant state or a regenerative state, or the things that the annual plants that only live for 1 year and perhaps they have seeded and they'll come up and surprise me next year. Every year that seems to happen. One thing I've noticed that I hadn't realized before is that Rose of Sharon, boy, it pops up all over the place and it blossoms through every season except winter. I mean, it started in the spring when it was growing, the blossoms were growing, and then summer and now into the fall. They're just beautiful. You can see a few over here, the purple flowers, but there are smaller plants all around my garden that are doing that. It's almost so cold that I'm going to have to take down my beloved hot tub. It can't be outside if it's sustained below 40 degrees because it can't freeze. So yeah, it's the end of a season. And I know we've talked before about changing seasons. The leaves haven't started to change yet, and when they do, there will be quite a number of leaves because let me see if I can show you that which direction, other direction. I have like this huge maple tree that just spews leaves all over the place. So I'm sure we'll have some talk about that and like the diversity of nature of the world. But today I do want us to think not only about changing seasons in terms of nature, but in terms of our life on this planet, in terms of race relations, in terms of what's going on politically in this country, and in terms of just the many, there are these cycles for everything, and it seems as if many cycles, with waves, if you have another wave that comes along going at the same thing, then the crest is higher and the trough is deeper, and if you have one that's going the opposite of that, it tends to even out the waters. It seems as if there are a lot of convergent waves right now that are amplifying each other, doesn't it? So I thought perhaps the words from Ecclesiastes would make the most sense to us. Listen for the word of God. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. It doesn't say anything in here about each of these times being separate unto themselves. In fact, many of these times overlap, like those overlapping waves that either amplify each other or nullify each other. And so, what I hope for us to think about today and in the days ahead are, where do we fit into this timeline? For us, is it a time to weep or is it a time to laugh? Is it a time to kill or a time to heal? Is it a time to get or a time to lose? Is it a time to keep or a time to cast away? Is it a time to be born or a time to die? Is it a time for new ideas to be born and old ones to die? Is it a time for us to step forward or to step back? Is it a time for us to support or to reevaluate supporting ideas and customs? Each one of us will have different answers to that. I invite you to think about it and pray about it today. Maybe go back and read Ecclesiastes 3, the first 8 verses. But for now, know that the times are changing. We have to change with them. And God alone is constant. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor, a time when we think of something greater than ourselves. I'm Pastor Deb Swift with South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. If you enjoy these prayerful pauses with the pastor, I invite you to make a contribution to help support this ministry. You can find the way to do that on the end cap. And if you go to our website, you can make an electronic contribution or send something to us through the mail. As always, thank you. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.